All right. I think I'm live. This is my first time doing this. So experimentation abounds. Hello, folks who may be tuning in live. And hello to those who might be tuning in later and checking out the recording. My name is Ron Reagan, and this is the first ever episode of WTBI, What's the Big Idea? A talk plus show for audacious visionaries. And I'm excited. I'm excited to keep this going, this dreaming, this visioning that I've been leaning into over the course of 2020. And the impetus for the show is really to make space, some dedicated space in my life and perhaps in the lives of others, for centering the possible, centering desire, centering our whimsy, and excuse me, focusing on what we want. And I have an amazing slate of co-dreamers and guests for this show that will continue on through March and perhaps longer. And I'm so excited to be here today with my first co-dreamer / guest, Sharon Bridgforth. So we're going to keep it moving, get it going. I'm going to bring Sharon in to introduce themselves. Here we go. Hey, Sharon.
Hello. Hey, good to see you. Such
Good to
an
see
honor
you
and a
too.
privilege to be here.
Wonderful.
My name is Sharon Bridgforth. I use all the pronouns. My favorite pronoun is mermaid. That feels like that fits the best for me. I'm on Kiz land, sometimes called Los Angeles. And I'm just really, really excited to see you and be a part of what you're offering and in this conversation.
Indeed, indeed. And again, I'm Ron Reagan. I'm in Chitimacha and Choctaw territory, among others, now known as New Orleans. And I'm also grateful to be here with my friend and mentor and ever-inspiring entity, mermaid, Sharon Bridgeford. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So Sharon, and everybody, since the show is new, I'm encouraging everybody who comes on the show, including myself, to really lean into pleasure while we're together, to feel good in our bodies as much as that's possible. And I've asked all of my guests to be wearing, eating, experiencing something physically and sensually that brings them pleasure. So Sharon, what is your pleasure practice
All
today? What you got?
right. Well, right now I have on this, I'm a little twisted in it, but I have on this amazing hoodie that was a gift from Amara Tabor Smith and
Oh
the
yeah.
folks that she works with at Stanford. I had the privilege of being a writer and a performer in a show she did there with students last year called Revival. And if you know, first of all, if you don't know Amar's work, please look it up. She brought the Holy Ghost in full Black queerness in all kinds of ways up into the site. And there was ritual, there was singing, there was procession, there was a jazz band. Everything was there, and it was such a honor, first of all, to perform with her and to be a part of what they were offering. And it had been actually an answered prayer because actually, Ron, the first time I saw you, you were working with Amara in what I
Mhm.
feel like is one of my all-time favorite pieces that I've ever seen. It was her celebration of Ed Mock's life, He Moved Swiftly. It's a longer
Yep.
title, but in San Francisco. So anyway, I saw, and it was like a 5-hour experience where we moved around the city and different things happened. And sites that related to his life. And anyway, I just was like, just so in, just like admiration and spiritual opening because of that experience. And so to later get to work with her was amazing. And then I just got all these gifts, including this hoodie. So that's a thing. And inside of this, I'm also holding, I have to tell the story of when I first saw your face. And
Okay.
in that Amar's piece, we had been processing in and out of different kinds of experiences. And you were in multiple rooms and spaces in the performance. But this one thing, we came out of, Marvin K. White was doing
Mm-hmm.
a poetic sermon that was basically house.
Yep.
And we came out of that. And at the end, we got to dance. And we came out of that and into this room. And you were just sitting there by the door with a window behind you with your legs crossing in. And I was like, and I have to say to everybody, like, just imagine, I'm trying to not cuss as much as I usually cuss because I don't want them to kick us off, but just imagine all the cussing I'm doing right now. I was like, who is this? And I just stood there and received your voice just washed through me. So all of this is full circle. It's all in this purple hoodie right now. And then I have this, my wife, my Omi, gave this to me. It's chairite. One of the things that it does is it is in connection with angels. And I believe that mermaids are angels, that angels are mermaids, that the bottom of the ocean and the top of the sky meet, and that we fly. So that's fun. And then I'll just say one more thing. Hunty, I'm having my second cup of coffee, and I can't even tell y'all the recipe because this shit right here. Okay, you may not be ready for it. You would have to come to my house for me to offer it to you. But this is, and it's in one of my favorite mugs. I love the size. I love the feeling of the mug. But the place is no longer open. But it is from a cafe that used to be in Austin, Texas, a woman-owned cafe that was called Cafe Munde. And she just made space for us. We did, aside from sitting there and drinking coffee and eating and hanging out all day, we did poetry events and film festivals and fundraisers and, crying in the, in the coffee shop processing life. Like we did so many things there. So it has just really, this is all just a lot for me. And in fact, let me just say two more things. I got mermaids behind me, and Virginia Grice gave this to me many, many, many years ago. Our Lady of Guadalupe, who for me holds mermaid energy.
Word. Thank you.
Thank you.
We already got into story time. I love it. On my end, my pleasure today is in this glass. I've been making my own cold brew since the pandemic began. This was one of my skills that I picked up. It's really fucking good. So cold brew. I got these earrings from a new friend. Those are ocean.
Beautiful.
Aren't they really nice?
Yeah.
So I'm feeling that, and then I got this fun tank top.
Yes. Where did you get that?
This is a Dope Society.
Okay.
My friend Denisio Truitt here in New Orleans, and these earrings are from Molten Aid.
Nice.
So yeah, check out their wares. Lovely things. And part of my pleasure practice is being here with you today. So hey. Wonderful. So again, I'm gonna do a little preambling in this episode, I guess, since things have never happened before. We are going to take some time every time I have someone with me on What's the Big Idea to vent, to air our grievances, apparently is a Seinfeld version of this, and or to purge and release things that we need to get off our chests, off of our bodies, off of our auras, so that we can do this dreaming and visioning work and make space for it. So it's not to, deny or remove these things because they're going to be present with us, but it's simply to ensure that they aren't blocking anything that needs to come through in terms of our visioning. I found it useful. So I want to try it out with friends and loved ones on the show. So, Sharon, you're going to go first.
Okay.
And I'm going to set a timer so that we can be be rigorous. But
All right.
you're going to have 2 minutes to just
Okay.
get whatever you need to get off your chest. And Sharon, you're getting a little static when you move the hood.
I'm
from the mic.
sorry.
No, it's all good. Just to be mindful of that.
Okay.
So yeah, you have 2 minutes to go. Once the timer goes off, I will make a gesture and hopefully you'll hear it as well. And
Okay.
we'll take 3 breaths together, release whatever else we need to release from what you've shared. Then I'll go for 2 minutes. We'll do the same thing to release, and then we'll get into the dreaming process. Does that sound good for you?
That sounds great.
For those who are watching, whether live or on the recording, I have no idea what's going to come out of either of our mouths that we need to release. So if you are at all concerned that something might be triggering or might inflame anxiety or discomfort for you, feel free to mute. Feel free to pause it and fast forward if you're watching this in a recorded form. And, we'll be done in about 5 minutes. So, all right, Sharon, your 2 minutes to get things off your chest begins now.
Thank you. I am furious that the devil has been in office, and not only has been in office, but has been supported and was voted for. That people, it is devastating and heartbreaking to see all the ways that we're not taking care of each other, that people are hunted by ICE, that children have been separated from their families and tortured. We know people have been tortured up in there, and that there's so many people without homes, and our elder don't have what they need, and trans people are still not valued. Their lives are not fully valued. And all of us I feel like all of us are in such devastating ways separated from each other, and it's beyond the pandemic. And that devil and the people that support him and the people that chose to vote for him, and let's face it, they were not all white people. It blows my mind. For, I guess, for people to have health care, for people that are dying to not be alone, for people that are afraid to find places to lean, for people that are abused, for children that are harmed, for us that are carrying all of that in there. I am pissed that there is not more support and more ways for us to access releasing, uniting, joining, healing, and helping each other. And I rarely speak from, yes, baby.
That was right on time.
Okay, good. I'm done. Thank you.
All right. Let's breathe in and exhale 3 times together, and we're going to just focus on the release part. We're going to focus on the exhale of just letting that go. Cool? Yeah. And y'all feel free to do this at home. You can feel free to vent to yourselves at home while we do this too, whatever feels good to you. We're making space for the pleasure and the dreaming. So inhaling together and releasing. Inhaling and releasing. Inhaling and exhaling. All right, I'm gonna set my 2-minute timer. Okay. Let's see today. Today, I am worried. I'm worried. I am worried about complacency. I am worried that folks are just ready to get back to our regularly scheduled capitalism and consumer capitalism, to distract ourselves from what we've endured over the last 4 years, to ease and soothe ourselves in ways that aren't getting at what is actually all of the harm that we've been experiencing, even in just this last year. I feel like before we get back to work, before we get back to doing anything, for those of us who haven't been working, whoever those folks are, right? Like, because it has been work. Surviving has been work. It's work. We've all been working. I'm concerned that we aren't making time for grief, that we aren't making time to feel what we've been feeling. And I think folks are overwhelmed, having felt a lot more than they probably would have willingly stepped into over the course of isolation and quarantine. But I'm really concerned that there is dis-ease just waiting to, like, just festering and waiting to bubble up if we don't purge and reckon and sit with what has happened and honor that there's a lot of healing that needs to take place before we can really do anything. I know we can go out and do stuff, but I think it's to our detriment to seek that before we seek the healing and recalibration that we need. Something.
Yes. Good timing.
All right. Three inhales and exhales for that.
Yeah.
And then we're going to move on. All right.
Okay.
So inhaling and release. Inhaling and releasing. Inhaling. Ooh, and release.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
How you feeling?
I feel good. I feel better. I don't, it's like I feel all these things and feel thousands of emotions in a day, but I usually focus and center in what's positive, what's promising, what's hopeful. And so it felt really good to say those things. And I have to backtrack. Sorry, I got one more
It's
thing
all right,
I gotta
Sharon.
say.
You get to do what you want.
Okay, I will just say this one thing. Probably I could like go on for the whole hour on this, but I'm not going to do that. But one thing too that pisses me off is the ways that this country doesn't name the genocide and the pillaging of land from indigenous people. And I just want that to be a more part of the whole conversation and, you know, inclusive in as we talk about, you know, our ancestors that were brought here as enslaved beings. So, okay.
Yeah.
Woo!
No, it's all good. And to cap off that segment, I want to say, you know, most of the folks on this show are folks of color and or queer and or trans and or working and living and being at, you know, some margin of society that gets overlooked or extracted from or oppressed. And I think it's so important to make space for our righteous dissatisfaction, anger, discontent, and to have, you know, whatever version of a public space this is for those things to be said out loud.
Yeah.
And for us to feel into those feelings.
Yeah.
Because we don't have a lot of spaces where that is encouraged, where it's supported, where it's held and stewarded and loved on and welcomed.
That's right.
Frankly.
That's right.
And I want to give a shout out to my friend Bear, who helped coach me through the design of some of the elements of this show. And I'm like, that's really important thing, Ron. I was like, oh yeah, you're right, Bear. That is. So thanks, Bear.
Yeah.
Bear.
Yeah, thanks, Bear. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I don't want to be like too much of a time, but we were right on time. And I love
good.
I love it when things are flowing in an organic way that also is like moving it along. So, Sharon, we are here primarily and most essentially to talk about dreaming and visioning. And I'm so grateful to all the folks who said yes to coming through for this little experiment and allowing us into your visions and dreaming, whatever parts of those you want to share with us. So to open up this segment, my question is, what are you dreaming about and visioning for our collective future?
I'm visioning and dreaming that the love that the ancestors know, pray, sacrifice, died for, hold, offer us, manifests, cross everything, cross all the constructs, that in spirit we're able to more fully feel that we are loved, that in spirit we're able to fully act as love as itself as us. And from that place that we're able to be much better models for the children than we've ever been. And make space, make place, make home, make beauty, make life, make welcoming for everyone, for all the beings, and for this earth. That I feel like for me, that holds anything else that I might dream of. That holds everything.
Yes. Yes. I'm curious, what does that spiritual embodiment of the love, this ancestrally rooted love that you invoked just now, like what does that look like in practice? You know, for those for whom that might feel abstract, or like, can you like illuminate for us where and how you see that happening in the world, in your life, elsewhere? Yeah.
For me, it starts on the inside in my own journey to receive what my soul is offering me to grow through. And so for me, I feel like my life lesson that my soul came here to experience and grow through was to know that I'm loved. I feel like and that I would have what I need. I think that which still connects back to knowing that I'm loved. And I used to feel a lot of disappointment and upsetness towards my family around that. But then I realized, oh, I feel like, God or whatever we'll call that infinite being, creator, didn't love me. That's what I actually was upset about. And so thank God, because I'm a writer, and have been writing for many, 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 at least 15 years before I shared anything with anybody. So I wrote my way through an investigation, a digging up, a looking at, an articulation of that. And then what happened was I forgave myself for a lot of things. I forgave other people for a lot of things, and I had more space to receive. And so I feel like, and this happened for me, it happened through writing African American Southern migration stories, which is my history. I grew up in LA, but my family's from, New Orleans, Algiers, specifically, New Orleans, and Arkansas, Mississippi, and Memphis. And so they moved to LA, which was where I grew up. But South Central LA, for my growing up, was a little Southern village. So I'm very Southern. And I got sent to Memphis a lot growing up. But just understanding story and spirit, because I, in retrospect, am reflecting back on who I grew up with, how they shaped me, and what the lessons were inside of that, what the offerings were inside of that, how love looked, even when it didn't look like I wanted it to look, inside of that. And so now I can, and it doesn't mean that things weren't, always, things were not always good. It's the righteous feelings that I had, that I was upset about, but also there was more than that. And so I feel like my conversation with the ancestors, like I could hear it because I opened. And it was a lot of work. On my part, it was a lot of work. It meant if I was really going to be receiving spirit, I had to stop drinking. I can't drink, y'all. I can't drink. And that's a whole nother story. But anyway, adjusting how I ate, like figuring out, oh, I can't fully be present when I eat certain things because my body just crashes, like learning that kind of stuff way before there was so much information available about these things that I could access,
Yeah.
So it was a slow process. I don't think it has to be that slow. Mine was slow. I definitely don't think it has to be. But yeah, so, and then just lots of research, lots of travel, lots of collaboration, lots of being loved by by people who knew more than me. And they were not always older than me. Some of them, a lot of them are actually much younger than me. So also learning and allowing love in that way. And so then I think now it's like I don't know, I just feel like I'm still learning so much from beyond the veil and then in my own essence.
Yeah. I'm curious, you mentioned, I'm hearing a few things. I'm hearing, inside of this visioning and dreaming, there's this deep attention to ourselves as a component of making space almost for what needs to come through, right?
Yeah.
I like to think of this in my own personal practice as sort of how am I strengthening this vessel that I've been gifted in this lifetime and keeping it clear, so that whatever needs to come through me can come through. And with discernment, right? So that I can, part of the clarity is discernment. So I'm curious for you, what is the relationship between this ancestrally rooted love and healing? What is the relationship between those things in your viewpoint experience?
I feel like a lot of the hurt and the pain and the feelings of fear and neglect that I was carrying were older than me. So I think some of them may have been my own past life experiences, but I definitely think some of them were in my cellular memory and in my lineage. And what I have seen over time is that as I have healed and as I have learned to love more and receive love more, I've seen my mother soften and sweeten. I've seen my daughter grow, and she's like smarter, stronger, more clear, fast, swift, like amazing more than any of us. I think that that some of my work made that possible for her.
Right.
And I think her father was the same, very spiritual man. And I think also, I just really think that I believe in blood memories, so the things that we know, we don't know why we know them. And I think if we don't tend them, and if we don't tend the things that block us, if we don't tend the gifts that are being offered to us, if we don't investigate what shaped the ground that we're standing in and the blood there, if we don't consider the power and the depth of spirit, then I don't think we can do fully what we came here to do, what we want to do. I think we then are showing up in rooms not fully articulated, so not fully offering what's possible, which means that that impacts other people. Like I know that if certain people like Lori Carlos hadn't made certain decisions, then I wouldn't have received certain things from her that then changed my whole life. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, I don't think it's not about me. It's about us, right? And I think then we waste a lot of time, fighting
Hmm.
when, when it's not necessary, because we're pushed back into something that isn't actually what's in, and then we're all speaking this and way, and we're not here.
Hmm.
So I just think it just makes so much possible. And for me, it's like I feel like I'm clear sentient. Like I feel things and know things in spirit,
Hmm.
in here way. And I just know that I can access and feel quicker, um, over time. The more work that I've done, the more releasing, and the more, like, so if I say I believe in love, then how am I going to practice that with my mama,
Hmm.
who I might be mad at? If I say I believe in spiritual service, you know, how am I going to show up in conversation when I feel like somebody has offended me?
Hmm.
You know, if I say I'm working to grow and to be more myself in the world, then how am I going to address my triggers? So, oh, Jesus, lots of
All of
things,
that.
lots of things.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hearing this thread for you, and thank you for all of that. I'm hearing another through line of the importance of forgiveness, of self, of others. Does that feel resonant with
That's
you?
absolutely. I I feel like, well, for me, I feel like I was always trying to write my, like, from a very, very young age, being a queer bodied person who loved other women. Even as a kid, I had crushes on girls and women, and then
Hmm.
I feel like I'm multi-gendered, but growing up in a time where there was just no reflection of that I saw or
Hmm.
could name or reflect back to me in a good way. So I think I was just really, really trying at a young age to kind of write my way into that and through it and
Hmm.
understand it. And thank God for growing up with, first of all, with the old fashioned librarian in the black neighborhood where I could
Hmm.
ride my bike and go to the library and find books by black people. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? But anyway, growing up as a young person with writers like Toni Morrison and Nikki Giovanni and, Alice Walker and Maya Angelou and James Baldwin. And I thought Langston Hughes is my first love. I was probably really just queer because I was in love with that man. And then I was so heartbroken when I found out he had passed already. But Langston Hughes,
Oh,
my first love. But
yeah.
like just like immersing in what these brilliant writers were offering, and then swimming my way through it. But so it's been a very long journey. But I think for me, it became an urgent intention in 2005 when I found out I had cancer. And so I
Hmm.
had cancer, and I knew something was wrong with me years before, and they just kept poo-pooing. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I was diagnosed, had surgery, and I remember going into, like, about to go under, and I thought to myself, and at that time I had been sober since 95, but I was still working through a lot of stuff. But I was about to go under, and I was like, all I want to do is live.
Hmm.
All I want to do is live. And when I came out after I got my energy back, and at this point, because I'm a spiritual seeker, I'd been a born again Christian, so I was baptized Baptist by choice in my early 20s. Grew up in Catholic schools all the way through first year of college. Been in the Yoruba spiritual tradition. Been in sweats. Been in Buddhist temples, like all of that seeking. And I was just like, after thinking about it, after I got my energy back, I was like, I believe that the evidence of spirituality is joy. So then my question was, how do I release, first of all, anything that's toxic so that I don't feed cancer, you know? And not that I was blaming myself, but metaphysically and physically, like, how do I release anything that's toxic so that I don't feed this thing ever? And then how do I be joy? How do I be the evidence of spirituality? And then that led me down what they call the dark night of the soul. And it was down there that I realized that I was holding so much, I was just holding so much against so many people. And then I had to face the fact that if my child held against me what I was holding against other people, she would, in her very righteousness, never need to speak to me. You know, so I was like, how can I learn from her how to be forgiving? How can I, that grace, how can I walk with that kind of grace? And so, you know, long journey, lots of pieces later, writing later. I'm still in it, but I do feel I'm stronger and I'm better.
Wow. Yeah, I'm so many things. I'm hearing that forgiveness is releasing, making space for what needs to come, for oneself, for one's relationships, but also for the future. Right? So I'm thinking about forgiveness as a practice of futurity.
Ooh,
right?
Like that.
As an opening of the way and ushering in as a waymaker.
Yeah.
Which is a new thought for me.
I love that.
But I'm part of what I want, like, I think there's so much in sort of like Afrofuturist discourses about futurism, fantasy, the science fictional, in the ways that so much of like imagining the future gets constructed. And I think that part of what I'm interested in is sort of like everyday practices of futurism.
Yeah.
And what's hitting for me right now is that forgiveness is a futurist practice.
Yeah.
In that it is making space for what is to come.
Absolutely.
It is not denying the past, it's reconciling it so that there is the possibility of forward motion. And if we're thinking about that spiraling time, it is so that when we come back to this place, we're not in the same place, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And we can have a different perspective on what has happened. Thank you.
Thank you. And I love that naming. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm just like, beautiful. You know, how did my great-grandmother practice futurism, right? I think part of that is prayer, right? Yes. People are praying forward. We talk about praying people forward in African-American, particularly African-American Christian context. Yeah. I'm seeing some comments. Hey, Florinda.
Oh, hey, Flo.
Yeah, because we are going to come back. That's right. And yes, right? That is the future vision of the ancestors. You know, we are ancestors' wildest dreams idea, right? That someone dreamt us forward, prayed us forward, imagined us forward, even if they didn't know exactly what we were going to be. It is in that embracing of possibility for those who came before us that we were able to step forward into the present. Absolutely. So I'm thinking about too, you know, you've named so many of your teachers and so many of the folks who have made space for you in this world. Kyla's up in here.
Oh, hi,
Kyla. So you've been honoring legacy as we've been going through these stories that you've been telling. So I wonder what for you is the relationship between legacy, history, the past, ancestry, and the future. So for those, we're talking about dreaming, visioning, embodying the future. what's for you, Sharon, the relationship between what has come before and what will come?
I love that. I think it's circles. I think the past, the present, the future, the living, the dead, the unborn all coexist. We go in and out between the veils and surrounding them. And the more we release stuckness, the more free we are, the more we fly. And so part of what that looks like is because I did so much work around healing, my own healing, release, forgiveness. My daughter's more free, and so is my mother. And my mother was a singer who never got to sing, but my daughter is a singer who gets to sing. You know what I mean? It's like it gets more becomes possible for all of us. And so, because of all of that, then I'm just even more happy than I could have otherwise have been. I think of Lori Carlos, one of my big sister mentors, and Marsha Ann Gomez and Raul Salinas and Anna Cisnet and Robbie McCulley and Jessica Hagedorn and all these great, 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 great artists, some of whom have passed. And they broke ground, kicked doors down, defiantly asserted self-determination. And they didn't do it just for themselves. They did it so my ass could have somewhere to be, so your ass could have somewhere to be, so that our voices would exist and with resounding truth. And so I carry that knowing that I have more privilege than they did. I have responsibility to them. And so when Flo call me, I'm gonna say, hey Flo, what's up? You know what I mean? Flo got children that are calling her, like it's circles. Them children like Flo hired me. The children grow up. They hire your ass, y'all. Right. But more than that, and especially now, I'm 62. I'm at a time where I feel like I'm in another becoming. Like I'm like, I don't know, in a new way of being. It's more ease, more rest, and so I feel like I'm receiving even more now, because it circles.
Ashe.
Yeah.
Ashe. Okay. I wanna in this show make space for us to talk about what visioning looks like in practice. I think part of my desire to have these conversations and to make these spaces for conversation about dreaming and visioning is that I don't think people do it enough. That's my judgment, and I'm sitting with that. It's true. It's how I feel. And so rather than like sitting here wagging my finger, I want to spread the joy of dreaming and visioning through this show. But I also want to talk about what it looks like for us to make space, because I don't think there is a lot of space for that. There's the real pragmatics of survival that are operating for people as we try to survive under this very terrible oppressive system of capitalism we have right now. Racial capitalism, settler colonial capitalism. Like it's all entwined, and it requires so much of us that we could easily move through our lives only doing what is necessary to survive. Maybe not easily, but we could live our lives in survival mode. So what does it look like for you, Sharon, now to make space for visioning and dreaming in your life? How do you do that? And maybe even thinking about some of the struggles you've been through. What were the seeds of dreaming and visioning, even in those turbulent times that you planted to allow your present, then future self to be here now?
I love that. I think my birth father, because I have 6 parents, a lot of y'all know because of divorces and marriages and all that. But my birth father, who's from Algiers, comes to mind because it's like, so he has passed. I'm in deep conversation with him, and he like my sister says, we are New Orleans. You know, he is in motion, laughing, head thrown back, gathering people, always, supporting, loving, loud. And I think there's something about self-determined joy as transgressive future making.
Self-determined joy
Joy
as transgressive future making. Come on. All right. I'm in your amen corner. I'm ready.
Yes.
What you got to say? Come on.
So I feel that that is something I inherited that I can receive and learn from. And so, God damn it, I'm gonna have a good time. You will not take that from me. And I'm gonna have a good okay, now I'm just cussing. Just again, okay, I'm gonna have a good goddamn time because I am blessed with good goddamn people in my life. I'm sitting here talking to you, baby. You know what I mean? We got Flo and Kylo on the line. We got whoever else is here. We would prefer to gather in person, but we're gonna still gather. And we're going to laugh and we're going to support each other. We're going to find out what each other needs. We're going to work to make things better. We're going to believe in impossibly big things because we are in motion, laughing, gathering, good timing, teeing, cussing, eating, and partying. Yes. In spirit. And yes. I think as we do that, portals open and we get lifted. And I think all of nature then teaches us. We have access, you know, to those teachings.
Okay. Okay. I love it. I love it. That's such a beautiful offering to we, the collective, that leaning into that. I'm not going to get all the adjectives. The transgressive, self-determined, futuristic joy or something.
Yeah.
Something like what you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm seeing some nods, so I think I'm on track. But that making space for our very specific, in our bodies, in our communities, in our chosen families, in those spaces, the joy that we cultivate is that space for visioning. Yeah. Is the key perhaps to dreaming. Yeah. And is a futuristic practice.
Yeah, I believe that. And I think if we just get out of the way, you know, it happens. Hey. And so then that goes back to doing our work, to release, to be more present. This comes to mind. So I have a grand doggy, a 10-year-old pug who's a rescue, who is a 4-time cancer survivor and who has arthritis. And I wake up very early and I usually do my morning prayers and just quiet time and all of that, my coffee and all of that. And then I'm ready for the day. Well, lately she has been getting up and just raising hell, just barking, just running around, and so I was frustrated for a couple of mornings. And then I was like, if I am present in this, what is the opportunity? So what I started doing was throwing my clothes on early and taking her for a walk. And so the walk, it's like, because she has arthritis and she's old, it's like one of those slow, mindful meditation walks where it's one step at a time. Jesus. And we only get we don't even get around the block. We get to the corner and then we come back. And in that mindfulness, because I did it this morning too, in that mindfulness, the birds and the air And I live on a street where there are all these, I think they're ficus trees. I'm not quite sure, but they're these huge trees. It looks like the street is lined with afros. And
Huh.
the roots of the trees break the sidewalk open. It's
Hmm.
so, and I always see them and I love them, but I'm in my mindful meditation pug walk one step at a time. I'm seeing them and I believe them to be ancestors more different.
Mm.
So I feel like even in this pandemic, even in not being able to do a lot of the things that I normally do, love still shows itself to me.
Mm.
And
Yes.
then the little pug comes home, I give her CBD and she takes a nap.
Yes, 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 yes,
So
yes.
how can we receive what love is offering us?
Hmm. How can we receive what love is offering us? We have to
Yeah,
do some healing. We have to make space for that. We have to be present enough to notice.
yeah,
We have to, in making that space, forgive ourselves, forgive
yeah,
others,
yeah,
understand the past, reckon with
yeah,
it so that we can
yeah,
use it as a tool
yeah,
and be alive.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Be grateful for living
yeah,
when we can, always.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Sharon, thank
Ron,
you. This is so
thank
good.
you. Oh my
This is so
God,
good.
thank
We
you.
are coming to the end of this time, but I know we will continue to be in conversation. And I hope that what you and I have discussed in the space we share today in this recording, as it moves through people's consciousnesses, can be of service. And in the spirit of sharing, I wonder if there are any resources, books, shows, things that you're like, this is really inspiring me these days, or this is helping me lean into vision, dream space. Anything percolating that you want to mention before we
Yes,
say our see you laters?
yes, thank you. I would say check out Gina Breedlove's Sound Medicine Healing.
Yes.
Gina Breedlove does. Omi and I just did or participants in a series that she just offered. So if you just go to look her up, she has a website. Stuff is listed there. That was magnificent and deep.
Mm.
um, on Sundays, Omi and I show up every Sunday at 8 a.m. our time to the Mobile Homecoming Live. So Mobile Homecoming
Yes.
slash live, which is Alexis Pauline Gumbs and Shankadari's Sunday Black feminist gathering. And that
Yes.
always gives us lots of alignment and energy.
Mm.
Speaking of Alexis, I want to get the title right. I would say her book, which it comes out on the 17th, is called Undrowned: Black
Yes.
Feminist Lessons from Marine Mammals.
Come
We
on.
need to know what the marine mammals is teaching us.
Indeed.
Shit. Okay. Uh, and then I'm a huge podcast listener. I like taking
Uh-huh.
walks and I love listening to podcasts. Helga, which is on WNYC, amazing podcast. It's Helga Davis's podcast.
Oh, okay. Okay. Word.
Yeah, it's exquisite
Mm.
conversations with artists. Her last season, she also had a conversation with Krista Tippett that was exquisite.
Hmm.
Um, Gabby Rivera's Joy Revolution podcast is really cool.
Okay.
A queer Puerto Rican artist who, if I remember correctly, is the first Latinx at least, yeah, writer for Marvel Comics, I think,
Oh,
something like
cool.
that. Don't quote me, but it's something in that area.
Okay.
But Gabby Rivera's podcast, Joy Revolution, is really really awesome. I love On Being. I listen to that, and I'm a huge Brene Brown fan. I love her.
Okay.
She give me hope for white people. Because
We need that, Lord.
we need that, Lord, because she says all the
Lord.
things, all the things.
Especially after this election. I don't know, Sharon.
Oh,
That's good. I
Jesus.
need some
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
in white
yeah.
people.
Yes, yes, yes.
White people,
Renee got it.
please
Yeah.
do your work. Please do your work. We
Please.
tired.
Yeah.
We're so tired of this shit.
Oh, Lord,
Mm.
yes.
Well, that's a lot. Okay. Thank you. There's a bunch that I hadn't heard of that you just dropped. So thank you for
Good.
sharing those
Good.
resources.
Thank you.
And the last thing, so inspired by my friend Laurel, who is here with us live on, at least in the comments, wanted to invite guests to share with us any organizations they want us to send resources to, so you can have some monetary gratitude expressions. Here's where you can send them. Sharon, is there anything you want to tell us about algo really quickly?
Yeah, algo is based in Austin, Texas. It's a statewide queer people of color organization. This is their 35th anniversary. And
Hey.
yeah, they've been around for 35 years serving our communities. Really, their work is national. I'm actually on Tuesdays, the next couple of Tuesdays, doing some pulling oracle cards and doing some journeying work with them on Tuesdays. That's open to the public, that I think you can find on that website. But algo is also, I lived in Austin from 1989 till about 2007, and it's an organization that raised me, and that is home and continues to support me. And they bring artists, they're local, but they also bring artists nationally in to do work and to be in communities. So it's a big reverberating institution that is all about love, all about love, all about our freedom, our goodness, our wellness, our art. You know, I love them. I would be most grateful and honored if any amount.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I will put this link in the show description on YouTube so that folks can direct their resources to algo. Y'all, please chip in where you can. Sharon, thank you so much for being here, being my first guest / co-dreamer on WTBI. What's the Big Idea? A Talk Plus show for audacious visionaries. I feel inspired and grateful. I am excited that on November 19th, the next episode with Elizabeth Mendez-Berry from One World Publishing, and we're going to keep the dream and vision space going. Sharon, thanks again. Thanks everybody who tuned in. Thank you everyone who might be watching in the future that we're creating with this moment, and sending folks lots of love and wishes for peace.
Thank you.
Take care, y'all.
All right. Bye-bye.